Look how well AI understands images. Where was this picture taken?
It was taken in a school.
How many mirrors are there?
At least 2.
Recently posted this image showing how closely AI's neurons mimic ours. Max Tegmark said consciousness is how information feels when it's being processed in complex ways.
There have always been questions around the overall safety of user data being uploaded daily into AI models. These questions come up because any form of flaw is expected to have serious impacts on users, companies, and organizations that depend on these models for carrying out their day-to-day activities. In a shocking revelation, these issues might even be worse than you think it is, and the worst of all could be a possibility of indirect prompt injection. We'll take you through these flaws, their nature, and what you can do on your part to check them. So sit tight and let's get on it. Well, let's start with the most insane of these flaws that's just been uncovered recently. Imagine that someone else, somewhere on the planet, could easily gain access to your profile on a large language model like ChatGPT, Bing Chat, or Bard, and is able to weave prompts that will reveal certain sensitive information from the data you've already uploaded on these platforms, or even monitor your real-time activities on the internet. This could make details such as credit card information, bank accounts, and emails vulnerable to hackers. To begin with, what exactly is indirect prompt injection? In a recent paper published by a group of researchers titled "Not What You've Signed Up For: Compromising Real-World LLM Integrated Applications with Indirect Prompt Injection," they define indirect prompt injection as a new class of attack vectors on large language models, integrated applications, or APIs. These are emergent risks that have surfaced as a result of connecting these models to the internet and making provisions for third-party APIs to operate on the programs. In simple terms, indirect prompt injection attacks allow adversaries or hackers to remotely compromise LLM-integrated applications by injecting malicious prompts into data, likely to be retrieved by the application. This could give the hackers access to monitor activities on your computer through the permissions you have granted on your own end. This could be really dangerous, as many organizations, individuals, and firms are quickly integrating these systems to carry out tasks in workplaces. Data which are crucial to their existence could be accessed by unwanted parties through this means. This is possible because LLMs can be prompted to generate content, translate languages, write different kinds of creative content, and answer your questions in an informative way, all based on the data they're trained on. As a result, adversaries can exploit this blurring of lines between data and instructions to inject malicious prompts into data, which will then be processed by the LLM and potentially lead to a variety of security risks, which could come in the form of data theft, worming, information channel contamination, fraudulent attempts, or even arbitrary code execution. Here's the crazy thing. Just as the name sounds, IPI attacks are indirect. This is because the adversary or third party doesn't need to have direct access to the LLM itself. Instead, they can inject malicious prompts into data that's likely to be retrieved by the LLM integrated application. This can be done by poisoning the data itself or by exploiting vulnerabilities in applications that process the data. To better understand this, let's use some real-life scenarios to drive the point home. For instance, an adversary could inject malicious prompts into news articles or even social media posts. So what happens when users access these articles or posts and interact with the LLM integrated application? The malicious prompts will be processed by the LLM, which could lead to data theft, fraud, or other malicious outcomes. Again, a third party could inject malicious prompts into code repositories or development environments. When developers access these repositories or environments and use the LLM integrated application, the malicious prompts will be processed by the LLM and could end up with the same outcome that will not be in the user's best interest. Also, this loophole could be exploited by injecting malicious prompts into search results. If a user then conducts a search and interacts with the LLM integrated application, the malicious prompts will most probably be processed by the LLM in a similar fashion. At the moment, there's been no clear approach to check against this particular danger. The only way now is for users to vet the applications they integrate with their AI platforms and what permissions they grant these applications. For instance, an application with permission to view emails shouldn't be allowed to write them, and access to personal information or documents that contain them should be guarded seriously. IPI attacks are a serious threat to the security of LLM integrated applications. As LLMs become more powerful and integrated into more applications, it's important to be aware of the potential for IPI attacks and to take steps to mitigate the risk. Also, in this paper, Kai Grishaki et al. Introduced a comprehensive classification of indirect prompt injection attacks, classifying them based on the type of data being exploited, the target of the attack, and the desired outcome. Coming from the direction of the type of data that could be exploited through this means, we have text data. It's possible that hackers can inject malicious prompts into text data such as news articles or social media posts. This can be done by poisoning the data itself or by exploiting vulnerabilities in applications that process text data. Another angle this can come from is by tampering with codes. This can be done by poisoning the code itself or by exploiting vulnerability in tools that process code. Indirect prompt injection can also be done with other forms of data. Adversaries can also inject malicious prompts into other types of data, such as images, audio, and video. This is a less common attack vector, but it's still very much possible. Devising potent means to guard your personal data and keeping them far away from these vulnerable platforms is a good way to go. A hacker who has decided to target a user could either attack the LLM itself. This could be any LLM, ranging from ChatGPT, Bing Chat, Bard, or any other form. They can inject malicious prompts into the LLM itself in order to modify its behavior or steal its data. This comes with the possibility of monitoring even other activities you perform on your browser depending on the permissions granted. The attack could also come via the LLM integrated application, and this is where everyone should really be careful. Third parties can inject malicious prompts into the data being processed by an LLM integrated application in order to compromise the application or steal its data. Vetting the applications you allow access to your platforms can help check this to a reasonable extent. Chances are that you might also just be a medium for an attack. What I mean here is that hackers can get to their targets through you. They can do this by injecting malicious prompts into the data being presented to another user in order to manipulate the user or steal their data. There are several reasons such attacks will be carried out. A hacker can use IPI attacks to steal data from LLMs, LLM integrated applications, or end users for whatever reason. It could also be a way to infiltrate whole networks, maybe of a company or organization. IPI attacks can be used to create self-replicating attacks that can spread across multiple LLMs, LLM-integrated applications, or end users. As many have feared, bad players can use AI to destabilize societies and push certain propaganda. This can be done via information ecosystem contamination. IPI attacks can be used to introduce malicious content into the information ecosystem, such as injecting fake news articles into every social media feed or by poisoning code repositories. Experts are still looking forward to the role that AI will play in politics all across the world in the coming years. It might not be exactly accurate to trust everything without actually verifying them. Fraudulent attempts on users could also be a motivation for such malicious activities. People can target users' finances via this channel. They can use IPI attacks to commit fraud, maybe by tricking users into revealing sensitive data or by generating fake financial documents. Also, backdoor access can be gained through these platforms into your personal online data, which could reveal things like your card details to a hacker. Arbitrary code execution is also a risk. Adversaries can use IPI attacks to execute arbitrary code on LLMs, LLM-integrated applications, or end-user devices. Through these classifications, we can observe a useful framework for understanding the different types of IPI attacks and their potential impacts. It can also be used to develop more effective defenses against IPI attacks. Developers are still working to understand the various channels through which AI can be taken advantage of, but chances are that they might never find all of them, and even if they do, finding solutions might take quite a while, leaving users vulnerable. Measures can be taken by users at the moment to help mitigate against these risks for the time being. For instance, if a hacker is targeting an LLM integrated application, the application developers can play a role by implementing input validation and prompt filtering techniques to identify and remove malicious prompts. Additionally, the developers can use adversarial training to make the LLM more resilient to IPI attacks. This will involve simulating these attacks and exposing the AI to them in controlled environments. You can think of it like humans taking vaccines. The systems get to learn how to fight such attacks. Similarly, if an adversary is targeting end users, the users can educate themselves about the potential for IPI attacks and be more careful about the data they consume. Additionally, users can use tools to detect and remove malicious prompts from text code and other types of data. Until strong measures are developed by developers of these AI programs, we'll stand the risk of exposure to these attacks. Hopefully in the coming months, these tech giants like OpenAI, Google, and Microsoft will come up with a solution to these problems. Till then, we just keep being careful out there, and that'll be all for this video. For more updates, do keep in touch with the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.